For me, as a little kid, the S on Superman's chest didn't stand for Superman. It stood for so much more.
On my world, it means hope.
Thanks, sad Superman. And that's why it was so significant when Superman died. In the comics. Less so in the movies, but somewhat. Looking back at comics in the 90s, it was all the big crossovers and how all of these big events kind of oversaturated the market and kind of, at least briefly, killed the industry.
Marvel Comics might not soon be there. The company is filing Chapter 13, and that's not good for fans.
Of course, along with the speculation boom and bust.
Retailers like Tyranny say distribution problems and poor storylines have led to the Marvel decline.
But focusing on those big events and being a kid at the time, as I was.
The Punisher.
Wait a hold a second. Is that what these movies are now? Just big, flashy events? Superman really did and really does represent hope.
Well, here it's an S.
Beyond that, he represented our greatest potential as individuals. What we could aspire to be. Nobody is perfect, but Superman does come close. I guess as a Christian, it's the Jesus allegory, even though it wasn't created by Christians, but, you know, the Savior allegory, I guess you could say.
Jesus Christ.
I wasn't a huge Superman fan, but I was a fan. I still am. And back then, I didn't always read Superman, like I always read the X-Men, Green Lantern, Spider-Man, all of which I subscribed to. But I would be sure to, every now and again, pick up a Superman book to make sure I was up to date on what was going on with Superman. New off the newsstand or spinner rack, or old but new to me Superman comics. Every few months or so. He'd always been there and would always be there. Until he wasn't.
I'm always around.
The death of Superman was a cultural event well beyond the impact of myself and the other people who bought their comic books at Foodland.
It's a bird. It's a plane.
It's a corpse.
It's kind of hard to convey now how big of a deal it was. For my younger viewers and my kids. But Mom, you remember.
Come mid-November, Superman will be flying, all right, to heaven. His S will grace his casket rather than his chest.
On my world, it means hope.
Everyone was talking about it. The news talked about it, probably more than whatever war we were involved with at the time that had trading cards associated with it. As did the death of Superman. I mean, in the 90s, like everything, global conflict, Superman dying and coming back, it had trading cards. Simpler times are much worse. I don't know anymore. The 90s were a weird time. I absolutely love comic books, and I love comic book movies. Good ones, bad ones, overly dour ones.
How about
Sir?
I honestly cannot get enough of them. Maybe I don't represent most of the world, but I could keep watching them forever. Now, I'll add that that's not all I want to watch. I do want them to make other movies. But as I said, I couldn't get enough of them. Just like I couldn't read enough comic books as a 10-year-old.
And Punisher. My family was brutally killed!
And again, I understand that general audiences might be a bit worn down by superheroes and comic book movies. Hey, 10-year-old me couldn't keep up with all the comics on the newsstand. With kids, teaching, just being an adult, even if you didn't have kids or you weren't a teacher or you had some other job or whatever you have going on, it's hard to keep up with comic book movies. That's due to an absolute saturation of superhero movies in cinemas, and cinema kind of being a big cultural frame of reference for us, at least for me, speaking overly broadly perhaps here. For example, the other day, my daughter referred to Daredevil as a Disney character. I said, no. Daredevil's a Marvel character. She pointed out that Marvel is owned by Disney. I don't know what it says that she's aware of corporate hierarchies and ownership of intellectual properties. Maybe it's that her dad's a creative person and a writer. I don't know. Does your kid know that stuff? Is that weird? You tell me in the comments below. I both love the idea and feel an intense pain in my lower abdomen at the thought of Daredevil walking around on Avengers Campus at Disney California Adventure.
I could do this all.
My point here is at the end of 1992 and the beginning of 1993, The death of Superman was an event purely for the funny books. And as a kid, I took these things very seriously. As an adult, I still do. I mean, I wouldn't be posting about it on YouTube, but I think I have a little bit more balance on how seriously to take it. Sort of the hierarchy of things in my life. If my life were a corporation, you know, family and children, and then like my relationship to movies is lower than that, most days. I took them seriously, and comic book dead, at least for me, meant dead forever. You're never coming back. I was still relatively new to comic books at the time, so. Again, I wasn't the biggest Superman fan, but as I said, it was part of my irregular rotation, we'll say. Which is probably a sign of why they thought, we have to kill this guy because Josiah over here, he doesn't read Superman regularly enough. They killed him, and the result is I have to read 4 comics for 2 years every month, plus whatever related adventures in Justice League or Justice League Europe.
Superman 500 introduces 4 beings, all claiming to be the Man of Steel.
And I wasn't the brightest kid, but I struggled with the idea that Superman was gone forever. I really did.
In 2 weeks, the 4 comics come out presenting the new characters, and each character gets its own, their own title. So there's going to be, I think there's going to be the whole thing with 4 of them competing to see who gets to be Superman.
Of course, he wasn't dead and didn't stay dead. I learned how death works in comic books, and am more cynical for it. But I'm kind of glad Superman's still around.
When we last saw the Man of Steel, he was laid out for his own funeral. But now he's back. Or is he?
Sure, he came back, but he changed. He changed the industry. He changed me. Everything changed. That's what things do. Just like in Superman, the 2025 film version, I was instantly moved by the opening text. Like, moved to tears. Superman, for the first time, knew defeat. Now maybe it was the fact that he was saved by an adorable dog, or the fact that they used a cool rock version of the original Superman theme to manipulate me emotionally. Both of those things did that and probably worked on that level. But in terms of story, the movie then doubles down on his defeat. We see his friendly robots help heal him, and he heads back into the battle. And we see him get beat up again. And then we learn that his getting beat up stemmed from his personal choice of who to help. Either way, his failure before the film even started, it had me on board. And again, maybe tears in my eyes. Just like I was on board for his death. That doesn't quite sound right. I was on board for the story, not the death part. Now, the writers didn't originally want to kill Superman.
After 50 some odd years, to get people to notice, sometimes you have to go to extremes.
In the comics in 1990, Clark proposed to Lois and revealed his secret identity. They did this mainly because the creative team didn't want to have to deal with the absurdity of Lois not knowing Clark's identity or not being able to figure it out. And Superman 2025 actually did this really well because the people close to Clark all know he's Superman, but they love Clark, so they keep that secret. I thought that was an excellent touch. He's just someone that they care about and love and protect him in that way. That was great. But in comics in the 90s, they needed her to know because she's too smart not to.
Being a little tired of Lois not figuring it out. I mean, it was starting to make her look a little stupid, and you can't be a top reporter and be stupid.
And those writers now wanted them to get married, but Dean Cain wouldn't let them. Arguably TV's worst Superman, I was on board at the time, but it doesn't hold up well on rewatching the show. But that show was about to premiere on ABC with Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman. And the fact that Lois' name came first there tells you all you need to know. Terry Hatcher was the star of that show.
Were you out looking for me?
Well,
Superman doesn't lie.
The show was really more a soap opera than a comic book, which the best comic books are total soap operas. I grew up on Claremont's X-Men, a soap opera with superpowers. For the show, they wanted a single Superman, as in unhitched, not one Superman, which is kind of a problem we'll get to shortly. Not for the show, but for comic books. Supermen. They wanted this that in the event that they decided on the show to have Lois and Clark get married.
My chest tightened up, my head was spinning. Must be what having a heart attack feels like.
Which they did eventually in both the show and the comics. Which actually kind of killed the show because in most shows, once the couple gets together, The tension is usually removed when that's the crux of your show, like the will they, won't they kind of thing.
Are you free for dinner tonight?
Yes.
There's just no drama left. Will they, won't they? Yeah, they did. The end.
All right. Then it's a date.
The powers even greater than Superman, that of corporate synergy, said he had to be the same across all medium. So much so that in Kingdom Come, they wanted that older Superman to have the mullet that Superman would get post-death.
Alex had to fight to not have Superman have a mullet.
So apparently Superman couldn't be married, but he could be dead. Whereas Rodney Dangerfield for some joke about his wife, or in marriage.
Last week I told my wife I need a home improvement loan. She gave me $1,000 to move out.
The creative team felt people didn't appreciate Superman. They were probably right about this non-appreciator. I appreciate it, but I didn't buy it, which means I didn't appreciate it where it counts, with money. That's how you show love. I mean, to like corporations.
He'll die.
Oh, good. I'm an anti-Superman fan. I don't like him. He's like a Boy Scout compared to other superheroes.
You can get around that.
The story begins with an entity of pure punching power, punching his way out of a bunker. He beats up the Justice League, a top-level B-tier roster, including Guy Gardner, Booster Gold, Blue Beetle, Maxima, Fire, Ice, and Bloodwind, who felt and feels very like Imagey meets Blade or something.
I don't like you.
I love this version of JLA, but it would have meant more if Doomsday leveled Batman, Martian Manhunter, Green Lantern, The Flash, Aquaman, an A-tier team plus Aquaman basically. If he beat up that team, it would be so much more meaningful when he then kills Superman. I mean, at least the Doomsday in Batman vs. Superman had him fighting Batman and Wonder Woman, right?
She with you?
I thought she was with you.
Over these issues, the punching and destruction escalates as Doomsday and Superman get more naked, and the panels go from 4 to 3 per page in the next, to 2 per page in the third, down to 1 big splash panel per page in the final issue of his death storyline. A quick note, this is an iteration of the post-Crisis Superman. This comes from John Byrne's reboot that started with Man of Steel in the mid-80s after Crisis on Infinite Earths. The Silver Age Superman, and I guess all Superman up to that point, had indestructible costumes. Not like that Wolverine one from the video game lab where it was regenerating along with his skin. It's not supposed to do that. Superman, prior to this Superman, had an indestructible costume. This one is very destructible. A big part of the 90s that doesn't get talked about, it was about how much damage a costume could take. Superman and Spider-Man were top tier at that, for sure. Battle damage and brown leather jackets were all the rage. It was not impactful just because of page after page of punching, but because of years of comics, years of films, cartoons, and other media showing us all the things that Superman meant to us.
Superman's stories say the world will get to be a better place. It can happen, we have it within us.
However, he didn't just appear as a fully developed Superman with all the answers. He had to learn hard lessons from a strong support team. Speaking for myself, just to be clear, speaking for me and not for you, I hope you have different opinions. And if you do, share them below. I'd love to learn and get some insight. But again, speaking for me, I truly didn't appreciate him until he was gone. Or at least that appreciation started when they announced he was going to die.
Superman will die November 18th.
The next question was how? How are they going to kill this guy?
At the hands of a villain named Doomsday.
And I must admit, again, I now look at the story and just find a lot of punching and smashing, and punching and smashing, which is actually probably the problem with most modern Superman movies, including the 2025 one. Just a lot of punching and smashing. Although there is some, like, you know, saving squirrels and people, which I like a lot. But still a lot of punching and smashing. And again, despite the death of Superman being just as much punching and smashing, he didn't save a single squirrel in that comic, that didn't diminish the impact of his death for me. This isn't the first Superman comic book I ever read, but this is definitely the first I ever bought off the newsstand of Foodland in Daytona Heights. At this point, the whole looming death thing had been announced. While shopping with my mom over at the deli counter, I was gripped by this cover, which I assumed was depicting his death and a lot of other deaths. I didn't know that. That was, look at this, whoa, they're all gonna die. I also didn't know how comic book covers worked at the time. You can see here where I cut out the form to subscribe to Green Lantern shortly after. I loved the cover, the way that Justice League looked like they were battling Jason and the Argonauts. Ray Harryhausen should animate this. Part of what makes Superman great is his supporting cast, which frankly is true for most really good comic book characters. A great individual superhero isn't really a thing. It's the humans around them that make them great, or at least greater. Point out exceptions in the comments, please. Pa Kent is one such example, exemplified in the adventures of Superman 500 and Superman 72. Now once again, I bought this comic book in anticipation of Superman's death. The cover of Superman 72 made me think the story was tied to his death, which was all over the media at that time.
As the Man of Steel met his match,
Everyone said it was impossible that Superman could be dead.
Superman will die.
They will kill Superman.
Superman died Wednesday.
All black, Superman's head down, hand in his hair, and the word powerless, almost connected to the title itself. I was sure it would explore something where Superman was so weakened that there was even a possibility that he could die.
You were great in your day, Superman.
I just knew that this comic was setting up his death story. It wasn't. Early in the morning, or maybe really late at night, Pa Kent finds Clark under a tree. He's frustrated at his limits. He talks of intervening to stop an incident of domestic violence when he just started out 7 years ago. Remember, this is the post-1980s Crisis reboot. Hence the title, Crisis at Hand. And this is before they seem to reboot every 12 minutes. And now it's happening again. The domestic violence, not the reboot. Although...
Breaking news, the Justice Department has given the merger between CBS News parent company Paramount Skydance and Warner Brothers Discovery the green light.
This time, it's happening in the apartment next door. The last time it happened and Superman intervened, the wife called the cops on Superman. The first time around, Superman dropped the guy out a window, but grabbed him before he hit the pavement. That sounds very Batman. Batman-like. Batman would...
In the sight, Paul wouldn't kill me.
I'm counting on it.
Later that morning, while on a couple's run with Lois, he recalls the details of the incident. He was a young reporter on his first murder and was excited. Which is weird for Superman to be excited about a murder. It makes sense that, as from a reporter perspective, that he was excited to investigate and solve a crime, both as a reporter and a hero, I guess. But still, just seems weird. The excitement about someone's been murdered. Yeah. He was so excited that he didn't realize where he was for this investigation. The victim was the abused wife. Superman's intervention gave her the courage to stand up for herself, and he murdered her for it. Superman searched for him for days. When he finally found him, he was lurking at her funeral. He was faced with a difficult choice, and maybe he made the wrong choice. Maybe he acted the wrong way. And after the fact, he was consumed with those questions and self-blame. Superman grabbed the husband in a rage. Some called for mercy. The man's mother pled with him. The wife's brother screamed for justice. Superman realized the importance of proper legal channels. And that's not me, that's more or less what he actually says. He realizes the importance of not overstepping his bounds. He imposes limits because he sees, even the most vile, a man so vile he would hit his wife. He's enough of a hero to see that man as a human, as somebody's son. I don't know if I could do the same. The crowd at the funeral, crying for justice and vengeance, represent the internal battle that Superman himself is fighting. How did Superman's uncle put it?
With great power comes great responsibility.
After Lois and Clark complete their run, in the apartment, the man, Gary, brutalizes his wife. Clark won't use his powers to interfere, but the great supporting cast kicks in the gear, and Lois goes over and bangs on their door. Clark realizes he's right and he straight up kicks the thing in. With the support of Lois and Clark, not Superman and Lois, but Lois and Clark, Andrea stands up for herself and tells her husband to leave. In kind, Lois asks Clark to step out so she and Andrea can talk. Andrea hopes to end the cycle of violence but doesn't know how. She expresses doubt, fear, and even a strange hope that Gary will change. To the very few women, I mean very few based on analytics, or girls who watch this, stay away from any man who would ever hit you. Andrea was a jumble of conflicting emotions. Lois does some spy stuff to confirm that Andrea called the shelter that she recommended. Meanwhile, Clark talks with Gary, and like all good villains, he's complex. Gary hates himself and what he does, acknowledging that he needs help. I might still toss him off a building, but I'm not Superman.
Where is he?
The Adventures of Superman 500 features another death. Now, we've seen him die in the original Superman movie, And that was used to teach Superman a lesson.
Those things I can do. All those powers. And I couldn't even save him.
And again, he died in Man of Steel to teach Superman a lesson as well, but a very different lesson. So all this Snyder talk, let me know if you'd like me to explore that Superman in a future video. But in the Adventures of Superman 500, comic book Pa Kent died.
DC Comics' Adventures of Superman issue 500 hit Saskatoon today, marking the return of the Superman storyline.
To bring Superman back from the dead, Pa Kent has a heart attack. In the afterlife or some kind of purgatory, he sees Clark. He tries to stop Clark from going to the light. Pa reaches, ripping off Superman's clothes, revealing not Clark, but Kal-El, the last son of Krypton. Superman tells Pa Kent to go back. Pa pleads to go instead, to be the sacrifice in place of his son. Two cloaked figures usher Superman away. They vanish. Pa Kent follows. And what I guess is our B story, but it also sets up some key stuff for Superman comics in the near future, which is what good comic book B stories do. They set up to become potentially the A story. The whole thing happens with this character called Gangbuster. Back to the Pa part of the story. Pa is in a war, or a memory of a war. It's all a haze. He's searching for something, for someone he refers to as the Airman. Death surrounds him. Pa finds his brother who died in Korea, but under the thresher on their farm. He tells Pa to find his boy. Isn't that Johnny Cash's origin story, or was it Dewey Cox?
Dewey, I'm haved!
We spend more time with the side characters, including Sat Jimmy Olsen. We get some references to this comic being in the 90s, which it was, because it was the 90s. Ma Kent says of Pa Kent, he loved that boy as much as life itself. Lois doesn't have faith. Ma says she does, and that's how they raise Clark. Pa falls into a pit of terror, the devil in a Superman comic. We start to get a sense of Superman's value, and he is the Airman that they're looking for, if you didn't figure that out. It took me a minute, but if you didn't. He offers to bring him to Blaze, the devil, not like Ghost Rider, Johnny Blaze, but to Devil Blaze. Sorry, DC Marvel. I mix things up. Pa's soul given in trade for his son. Pa refuses. He falls through nothingness encountering a woman. She tells him he can't raise the dead, but each being has control over their own fate, or they can at least impact their fate. There's a great moment where he sees Krypton or Kryptonian heaven, but the question is it Krypton or the Kryptonian afterlife, or is it a ruse? They ain't Kryptonians. They are monsters. The question arises for Superman and for Pa, does death only exist as a concept because they believe it to exist? Death as in an afterlife. Pa gets Clark to fight. An apparition of his Kryptonian father tries to hold him back. Superman is afraid. He says he'll check the abyss first, because that's what Superman does. He's the guy that goes in first. He wants to make sure it's safe for Pa. Pa says they'll go together. That's what a good father does. They both come through, but we only see Pa wake up. Lois wants to believe Pa, but she's also traumatized by the fact that she held Clark in her arms as he died. She thinks she saw Superman fly by. Lois needs to be sure to see the body. This reminds me of a Daredevil comic where a grief-stricken Matt Murdock digs up Elektra's corpse. He's sure she won't be dead, that she'll be missing or alive, only to be confronted by her very dead body. But in Superman, the body isn't there. The comic ends with the beginning. In order, we then meet Steel, pre-costume, the last son of Krypton, Superboy, and finally the cyborg Superman. And I had the mini posters of each of these guys on my wall surrounding my top bunk bed. The key is that even in death, and afterlife, and resurrection, Superman is surrounded by people he loves, and people that love him, and they support him, no matter what. In the 2025 film, after Lois and Mr. Terrific help Superman escape from the prison in the Pocket universe, they go to Clark's family farm, setting aside any debates about his Kryptonian legacy for the moment. The key for me in this scene is a Superman who doubts everything he thought he knew about himself. He suffered multiple defeats, was in prison, the world seems to be against him, but Pa Kent kind of does a Batman Begins.
Why do we fall? So that we can learn to pick ourselves up.
The real thing that he does, that a good father does, is that he supports his son. He tells him he's proud of him. He inspires hope for someone who inspires hope in others.
I couldn't be more proud of you.
Each instance is an example that changed Superman. And change, although occasionally or maybe even often difficult, It isn't always bad. We all need to grow and interrogate how we see ourselves in the world and what we can do for others, how we can inspire hope.